Hi Klein family, today we're going to be working with Bronx on his bed command or our place command. This is going to be very easy for him because you guys have already taught him his bed at home. We're just going to take it to the next level now. Being able to send him to his bed from a distance, sending him when the doorbell rings, sending him when someone's coming home from work or from school and you don't want him rushing the door and we don't want to have to keep that baby gate up all the time. This is going to be really helpful for when Kaiju gets to be older and we can have both dogs on separate beds. So a few things that we want to keep in mind. First, everything we're going to teach him and do is going to be on leash. You're going to do the same thing when you get back home. Just because he learns it here in this environment doesn't mean it's going to instantly transfer over to your house with a distraction. We have to show him all over again. But it'll make it much easier in the learning curve. So he's going to be on leash, and this is to prevent him from either bolting out the door when we have the door open and we're working with the distraction of the doorbell or somebody being on the other side, or he decides, I don't want to do this anymore, and decides to walk away. We have the ability to step on the leash and prevent him from reinforcing an unwanted behavior. Second, we want to do this in a low distraction. So puppy is up, kids aren't running around, it's going to be very quiet, low distraction at first, show him what we want, and then we can add in distractions. That's the progress of this command, is we start very simple, then we add the door, add people knocking, add people coming over, coming home, which we will practice later in a second video. The first thing we're going to do is show him what we want, which is to go to his bed and lay down, all four elbows and belly on the ground. He already knows this thanks to you guys, so he was very, very quick at picking this up. I am not going to say stay, and I am not going to tell him down. That is inferred when I show him and pay him that you only get paid when all four elbows and belly are on the ground. The markers that we're going to be using during training are 3 separate markers. Our first marker is our positive marker. I use yes. Yes means you've done it correctly and you're finished. Our second command is our duration marker. I use good. You can use good boy, whichever you choose. This means you are doing it correctly and I want you to continue doing it. So going forth in this video, I will change from my yes marker to my duration marker, and when I do that, I will make sure that I point it out to you so you know the proper time to use these. Our final marker is our negative marker, no, at, fooey, whichever you decide, whichever's going to come natural for you. He's really smart, he kind of understands all of them. One other important thing to remember is we're not going to be repeating the command over and over and over again. If we tell him bed and he doesn't listen, then we take him and show him, or we give him a negative marker if we need to repeat the command. We break our commands up with a negative marker. If I take him over to the bed and he sits on the bed but he's not laying down, I'm not going to repeat it all over again and say bed, bed, and then show him. Because once he lays down on that second bed, when we show him, well, now we've created a string of commands and we have to repeat it that many times again in the future to get him to do it. The best thing is to repeat it once, one command, one correction. If we have to repeat it, break it up with a negative marker. So he goes on the bed and he's just sitting. Bed, and he's looking at you, no, bed. And then we can show him, we break it up with a negative marker. So I'm going to go ahead and get him all hooked up on the leash, and we're going to start doing some of this process. The one thing that we are going to want to do is eventually send him, like I was mentioning earlier, from a distance. So if you see him start making forwarding movement to the bed once you've told him, we can stop and let him continue. Because we eventually want to be able to tell him when we're in the kitchen trying to have dinner, Bronx, bed, and him walk and go. We don't want to have to get up every single time. So if we don't show him that he can go on his own, then he'll anticipate us having to show him every single time and walk with him to the bed. So this was just the beginning instruction. Let me go ahead and get him leashed up right now, and then we will start working on those commands and everything that we just talked about. Okay, see you shortly. Okay, so the first part is going to be luring him to the bed. which again, he already knows this command at home, but this is going to be how you're gonna wanna teach Kaiju as well. Bed. Lure him on. Once he's in the down position, yes, then you can pay. Okay. Bronx, bed. Yes. Okay. Good boy. Bed. Good. Now I'm switching from my yes, positive marker, you've done it, you're done, to now my duration marker. I want him to stay in this spot, and I'm going to start building my stay command without saying stay by teaching him that he stays on this bed until I release him or give him something else to do. So we start doing that by slowly starting to build where we walk away and he stays there. Good. Good. Bed. Good. Now this is going to help with his separation anxiety as well, where he can see, okay, mom and dad can walk out of the room or go somewhere else, and I don't have to follow them and I don't have to freak out because I know they're coming back. Bed. Good. Good boy. Bed. Good boy, Bronx. That's a good boy. Good boy. Okay. Wanna go get some water? Come here, bed. Good. So in the beginning, we're not going to go as fast with this and walking as far away as I did because I've been practicing this with him. We're going to show him in increments. So slowly walk away, walk to the threshold of the kitchen, walk into the kitchen, come back, walk a little bit farther, then come back. If at any point you ever see him break, then we know that that's where our threshold is, and we just back it up. And we go to that point where he started to break and do that repetitively until he doesn't get up, and then we can push a little bit farther. Good. So everything with dog training is going to be incremental. We slowly add more distractions, slowly add more space. Bed. Good. Good boy. So he's pretty hot right now. Bronx, come. Good boy. So I'm going to go ahead and let him get some water, and then our next video is going to be doing the bed command under distraction of the doorbell, somebody knocking, somebody being on the other side. Okay, so now that we've gotten Bronx comfortable with going to bed and staying there, now our next step is to start adding distractions. So having him on the bed while we start knocking on the door, opening the door, having people come, ring the doorbell. This is the next step. First we start with no distractions and teaching him what we want. Leave it. Then the next part is adding distractions. So that's what we're going to work on now. Bronx, bed. And again, everything is done on leash, so he can't reinforce unwanted behavior by deciding to get up and go wander somewhere. Good. I'm going to start real simple at first, just touching the doorknob so he hears the sound of the door. Bed. Good. I'm going to reinforce the bed command every time so he knows he's supposed to be staying. Bed. Good. Bed. Good. All right, bed. Choked a couple of those up, so can't stop him from getting off on that one. Good boy. gonna look, we wanna set up our training in low distraction environments. So we want to act as if people are coming over with the high-pitched sounds and greetings that we normally give when our friends come over. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Can I get you a glass of water? Blah, 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 blah. As funny as that is, as soon as we change the tone in this training setting, he's gonna wanna get up. So we don't wanna keep a sterile training environment. We want to set up the scenarios. So having one of you work Bronx while the other one comes home from work, knock on the door, have somebody at the other side of the door, high-pitched tones, high-pitched greetings like you normally would if somebody were coming over to see you and visit. We want to set this up in the training so then the moment that it happens in real life, we're not caught off guard and we're not trying to scramble and do the training in that moment. We want to set up our training because we don't want him to fail. Good boy, you're doing very good. Hi, come in, how are you? So see right there, that is, good boy. That is the reason, one, we have him on leash so we can prevent him from darting out the door, and why we want to set this up in practice, because he did fine with me opening and closing the door and walking outside and ringing the doorbell, but as soon as I started putting in those high-pitched tones, he completely changed. Oh, I want to go investigate. I want to see what we're so excited about. So this is something very, very important for you guys to work on at home. Bed. Good. Bed. Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. Much better. And we can practice that even without having to open the door. One of the other dogs that we've been training this week with him is also having that same problem. The high-pitched tone is what makes her break and get up from her place command. So I started working just the high-pitched tone, keeping her in her bed command, starting to talk really high-pitched and, oh, good to see you. And so then that way she gets used to, okay, I maintain this calm energy even while everybody else is excited. Good boy. Good boy. So eventually, once we do this a few times and he sees, okay, there's nothing to be excited about, it makes it, bed. Good. It makes it much easier for him to maintain that calm energy when people are coming over. Now, this is going to be the hardest part, especially having kids in the house and having a puppy, to try to work this. So this is going to be a great video for you for when Kaiju starts getting older and you want to start showing him the same thing too, where both dogs can be on a bed and people can come in the house and come and sit down, and then once he is calm, then he can come up and greet our guests and not be flying out the door or having to keep up the baby gates all the time. Good. But remember, we always want to set up our training. We never want to try to train in the moment. So if you're having family or friends come over and you haven't practiced this, then he's in his crate so we don't have a failure. Hi, how are you? Good boy. Good boy. And sometimes you have to look a little silly in dog training because the dogs react to body language. Bed. Good. So see right there, as he started to get up, I stopped him with his negative marker. Or you can use no or hooey, whichever you guys decide to do. And I reinforce the command that I want, bed. So he stopped from getting up and he went and laid back down. And we always want this to happen. We always want to be the one to release him. So if I wouldn't have stopped him and I just let him get up and walk away, well then he learns I only have to lay here for X amount of time and then I can get up. Even if he gets up 50 times, we put him back on the bed 51 times. And then we can release him once he's laid down. Good boy. Okay, that's a good boy, Bronx. Bed. Good. set up the training in a reverse setting as well too. We hear the doorbell, and then we put him on the bed, because how many times are we really going to have him in this position when someone comes over? Most likely we're going to be in the kitchen, helping the kids with their homework, doing something, then all of a sudden the door rings, and he's going to go running to the door. So we set that up. Good, okay, good boy, good boy. Good boy. Bronx bed. No, bed. Good boy. Good. So we're always going to want to set up our training. Keep it really short, about 15 minutes or so, because he's about done at this point. So I'm going to give him a break, let him cool off and relax a little bit. For the next round, I actually have a handheld doorbell that we'll use, so that way I don't have to go outside every single time. And for the next session, we'll also have another person as a distraction. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you guys on the next video.